Perfect. Okay. So thank you so much for being here and talking a little bit more in depth about digital marketing analytics. The first question that we had for you was what does was analytics mean in the context of digital marketing?
Okay, just to give you a brief overview of the course, so digital marketing, so what we are talking about substantively, we will cover online advertising, which the main components of online advertising are display advertising and search advertising. So that is like the beginning of the course. Then we will talk about social media, and we talk about mobile advertising, and also like everything mobile apps, things related to that. Now we do the whole thing with from an analytics point of view, meaning that so for example, when I talk about search advertising, I explain how search advertising works. So that is like we what I call search advertising concepts. So just the definitions, how the auction works, how the bidding works, and like some overview of the industry as a whole, and then also talk a little bit about strategies. But then the main component will be the analytics part, which is you are given a data set, and now that you know the concepts and you know the broader strategies that are used for search advertising, we basically we solve a case. Sometimes it's a case, sometimes it's something that I created. So it's a data set that we look at and we analyze and we make some conclusions. So that is, and then the same thing with display advertising. A good chunk of the course is about experiments. So how to design experiments, both from a strategy point of view and also like more analytical things like sample size calculation or power analysis. And things like that. And then in the context of experiments, then we want to see that what is advertising effectiveness. So I had this display advertising campaign, I spent this much money, I did run some experiments, then I want to calculate my ROI, or in the advertising context, they usually go with ROAS. So that is the goal. I know it was a long answer to your question.
No,
but
that was helpful. Thank you. Does the course use R or another language or technology?
We use R. And that's like the general agreement with the others in the cluster, that it helps to keep everything in R. So we use R. Yeah.
And does the course include an introduction to R, or would it be helpful for students to try to do some self-learning on their own?
Good question. By the way, related to the previous question, I should also say that you do not have to do things in R. So in the end, I care about like, for example, if you run a regression, I care about the results that you get or the coefficients that you get. If you prefer to do that regression in Python or any other package that you like, you are welcome to do so. But like in terms of helping or providing support and things like that, we go with R. Now, as for introduction, the way it works is that here's the challenge, that there will be some students in class who have no experience with R, and then there will be some who have taken other courses that are taught in R. So the best solution that I could come up with is to just give you a few assignments that explains the parts of R that we need in class. And if someone is completely new to R, then this assignment is going to take a little bit longer for them to complete. Like they have to install R, and then like they have to see like how to take the average of a column, or how to select some rows, and then like how to run a very, very basic regression. And so these are step by step. I expect everyone to complete these in the first 2 weeks of the class. So for those who are already familiar with the course, each assignment will take maybe 5 minutes. But for those who are not familiar and they are seeing R for the first time, each assignment is going to take a few hours. So if you are not familiar with R, then just plan to spend more time on the assignments and familiarize yourself in the first few days of the course.
Okay, yeah, that's really good to know. One other question we had for you was, would or should first year students avoid taking this class since we haven't taken marketing 562 or 564 yet?
Not really.
Okay.
So, um, so what has happened in the past is that so this is like spring quarter is the first quarter that some first year students are for the first time they can afford to take electives, and we understand that. And what happened is that I actually do get quite a few first year students. Uh, so that's the other thing that, as I said, makes it challenging because there are some who are taking analytics for the first time, and then there are some who have taken other courses in marketing analytics. So if it's the first time, you are welcome to do so, but just keep in mind that the first few weeks are going to be, I mean, the workload is going to be higher, higher than usual.
And is the Hey, sorry to join you guys late. I just wanted to throw a follow up on that. When you say the workload is going to be higher, do you mean because of the R learning curve, or because of there are principles from the first those other two marketing courses that students may not have learned yet, like on the marketing side?
Okay, so it's not really about the marketing side. It's more about just having this analytical way of thinking about problems and being comfortable with like working with data in an R environment. So some of it is R, some of it is just like, okay, I see this, I know that I have to, for example, use regression here, and I know to, so that is, so both, but like the marketing component is relatively small.
Got it.
And then actually that leads well into the next question that we had, which was, this is a marketing elective, but do you think that the skills that are taught in this course are specific only to marketing, or are they helpful for students who aren't necessarily interested in the marketing industry or function?
Great question. So, I mean, if we go back to like what marketing actually is, marketing is about like being customer obsessed, as they say these days. So marketing is really about customers in the end, and many companies around us are actually, I mean, they prioritize customers. They are customer obsessed or customer centric or whatever they call it. So is this course for someone who is going to take a marketing job? No, it's not. For example, as I said earlier, about 1/3 of the course is about experiments and everything related to experiments. And experiments are done basically in every org, in every part of any company these days. So no, not, I mean, depends what you mean by marketing, but the answer to your question is probably no.
Yeah, but maybe for roles that, or people that are interested in functions that are going to have some sort of customer level facing like conversation or analysis. Anyone who wants to work at Amazon, it sounds like.
Well, not only Amazon. I
Right.
know like customer obsessed. A lot of people just like interpret it as being related to Amazon. But like for example, many tech companies right now, they are running hundreds of experiments per day. And not only on customer facing side. I mean, there are like basically they are running experiments for many of the internal tools that they have on how to do things, how to optimize things. So it's not how to say it, like, I mean, companies, my background is more in tech, so the examples that come to my mind are companies like Google, Facebook, Uber, Amazon, as you said. But it is not limited to that, because as analytics is becoming more and more popular, even among non-tech companies, there are more experiments done everywhere. I think it's going to be, I won't say useful, I would say almost necessary, because of like just seeing, like, again, as I said, like Amazon is one example, but like many other companies, pretty much every decision that they can make with an experiment, companies more and more are making those decisions with experiments.
Yeah, I think that's really useful insight, and it verges into one of the other questions we wanted to ask as well, which is like, are you able to share any experiences that either former students of yours or like just MBA grads who had graduated with these skills had in the workplace, where these skills really specifically differentiated them and helped them accomplish something that they wouldn't have been able to otherwise? I think that kind of concrete information is helpful for students considering the class to hear.
Yes. So first-hand experience is that every year after graduation, I receive emails from students say that, okay, like I have this problem and it's very similar to what we discussed in this course, and I'm thinking of like approaching it this way. What do you think? I have a student, like for example, from Microsoft that now that we are talking about experiments, they wanted to do some experiments with some features there or some emails. There are of course always some confidentiality but these are, as I said, very common. I also had like people who told me that when they were doing job interviews, the questions came directly out of the slides, which was exciting for me to hear because I mean it's an immediate and direct way of helping students. And that was more about these different advertising metrics, and so that was more like an advertising related job, advertising metrics and how to think about them and how to optimize campaigns and things like that. So both substantive and methodological.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned earlier briefly that these are things that you think are becoming, I think you said, necessary. And I wonder if you could just, someone who does research in this area and works with MBA students, like where do you see the the broader post MBA job market going in terms of like how required some of these types of skills are going to be of MBAs, like both now and compared to 5 years into the future, whatever?
That's a good question. So this is this is the trend that I see. 5 years ago, if a company wanted to do like some data analysis, they would approach a data scientist. 2-3 years ago, they were saying that data scientist is more specialized. We really want to, even the data analyst should be familiar enough with this concept to be able to. And today it is PMs. So product managers, they are many companies. So again, I see tech companies ahead of the curve when it comes to analytics. But a product manager at a tech company, they are almost required now to be able to design experiments, to think about experiments, and to run and analyze the results of an experiment and make conclusions. That's why I'm saying that. So it is PM job today, and then the way it is going. So my experience right now working with many people at Amazon, I am impressed by how knowledgeable the product managers are when it comes to all these data analytics concepts and tools and how to use them and what are the cons and pros, advantages and disadvantages of it, when and where we could use one and not the other. So that's why I see it as necessary, because this has been the trend going forward. And in fact, I designed this course 5 years ago, and the course is quite advanced, and I have been improving it. But now I think that, I have to make it even more challenging going forward, because I have to make sure that our students are ready when they, when they want to do interviews, and also when they want to function at the jobs that they will be getting.
Yeah, and you mentioned PM specifically. Are these skills that are starting to be demanded of PMMs as well, or do you think it's still somewhat restricted to the product management sector?
so again, as I said, so there are like different levels, but there is this whole trend that is going on. So even if something is not required right now,
Yeah.
3 years from now, 5 years from now, this has been the trend, and we should be prepared. We should be ready for
The Data and Analytics Club agrees, I think.
that.
Yeah, the last quick question I have, and I think we might actually be done here afterwards, is basically just, there's an R course that's in the works. Would you anticipate changing your course to have less of an introduction over those first 2 weeks when that R course, the R Canvas course, does get released? So students should then familiarize themselves beforehand.
Okay, so not really. The reason is that R course, I strongly recommend that course just because I mean, it's good to know good to know R, and not only R, it's good to know how to work with data in a programming based language. So that course I highly recommend. But if you take that course, then those like and by the way, the assignments in the course, I don't actually cover it in my lecture. It's just like everything is explained step by step in the assignment, that, okay, like download R, install R, this is like a data set, this is how you load it. So everything is done offline because I don't want to waste anyone's time doing like some things that maybe half of the class know in class. So if you have taken that R course, then and if you remember because that is another challenge, sometimes like you did the R course last year and this year you don't remember much. But so if you have done that, if you have done the R course, then those assignments are going to take, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes each, and it will be a good refresher. And it's also kind of an introduction to the course and like which parts from that course you expect to use in digital marketing analytics. So that part, I think I am going to keep. Maybe I have to, again, as I said, I may have to make the course either this year or next year a little bit more advanced, that I may just add to it. But other than that, no. And those are like fairly simple. If you may already know like how to do a t-test or how to run a logistic regression in R. So it's just how to use it as a tool. So I'm not really teaching you when or like what are the limits of logistic regression and what is the theory behind logistic regression. It's just that, okay, we have logistic regression as a tool. We can use it a lot when we are analyzing an experiment, and we can learn a lot from just one experiment, but learn a lot from it by using this tool. So that's what it is about. So it's quick introduction, like 2-page introduction, when Logit is used, and then how it will be used in the context of digital marketing or in the context of analyzing online experiments.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This was really helpful. I know that's all the questions I have from my end, Ben. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to ask.
No, that was really great. We really appreciate it.
Sure. All right. It was great talking to you, and looking forward to seeing you guys and others who are not here in class soon.
Definitely.